guys, welcome back to another episode of The Classroom here on Hookah University. Today is an awesome episode. Today, even though it is super late on East Coast time, it is still on West Coast time, about 9-10 o'clock in the afternoon. I appreciate all of you coming in and checking out. Gregory, Sammy, Paul, Jules, thank you for stopping by. Today, we have Mr. Omar, and I know he doesn't need any introduction because his face is all over the place, especially with that video they just released on them basically making, handmade bowls from scratch to final product right there in front of you if anyone had questions. Omar from ALPACA, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Good, good. Thank you so much for having me. Look forward to this classroom interview. Hookah University has been really blowing up, so look forward to seeing the reviews on it.
No, it's true. It's like we've really been trying to foster a community where people can come and not feel like, overburdened or feel like, oh, I'm like too new. I can't say anything. We want everyone to participate. If you have a question, ask, because we've all been there, with our first bowls or first hookahs or whatever, not knowing what we're doing, messing stuff up and thinking that's the only way to smoke hookah. And if you have any questions on maybe, how to better your session or maybe something else to try, this is the place to come and try to feel included and try to always, we always try to make sure everyone is like involved somewhat in the conversation. There's no such thing as a bad question. You might get trolled a little bit, but it's okay. So, Omar, man, I have been a huge fan of alpaca bowls. Like, my jump from Egyptian bowls have been to alpaca bowls. Like, it's crazy. Like, that was my big purchase. I was like, man, I got a cool bowl. How do I use this thing? It's so different. It's not your standard Egyptian bowl. I think my first bowl was a rook bowl. And I had no clue. I'm like, where are all the holes? It's just one spire. Like, what do I do here? I had no clue what was going on. And you, sir, have what I think about 6 different types of bowls out on the market. You have You have the Rook, you have the Predator, the Symphony, the Apache, which is my personal favorite. I have 3 of them, and I also have 3 Rooks as well. Then you have the Square Bowl, which I haven't seen many people use recently, and more, I've seen people using the Eggy more and more.
Yes.
But before we get into the bowls, before I get overly worked up and fanboyed, by this interview here, I want to ask a little bit about you, because every time I have a person on here, I like to ask them, like, what's your background? Where did you come from? What was your first introduction into hookah? So real quick, let's start. What was your first introduction to hookah? A lot of people try to say, like, oh, it's like there's a hookah in my family, and my uncles did it, my brothers did it, my father did it. Is that your similar experience?
You could say that. I'm Syrian. My background is Syrian, so I've been around hookah pretty much since I was a kid, and always looking at it, being fascinated at how much smoke comes out of that little pipe. So that's kind of what got me into it at first, and then seeing how many flavors that you can experiment with hookah as opposed to other types of tobacco, that kind of gained interest into it. And from there, I just became a big enthusiast into hookah. Started smoking KM. Then I went to a Syrian pipe and was smoking Starbuzz, Safari Melon Dew Mint pretty much religiously.
That shit is good. That Pirate's Cave, you have a lot of those like blue mist flavors, a lot of that stuff that we started on,
Yeah, but I used to be all about it, but now I'm a Tangiers. I can only smoke Tangiers, but I used to be a Starbuzz guy, and then I worked my way into Fakir and getting into heavier style tobaccos. And then I opened my hookah lounge and restaurant in Huntington Beach. And from there, I kind of got super into experimenting with all different types of tobacco. And the dark leaf stuff really caught my eye.
Now, did you have the dark leaf stuff inside the lounge as well?
Yeah, we were a Tangiers exclusive lounge. I was the only place who carried every single flavor that Tangiers made. Literally every flavor they made, we would serve. And we would also retail at that lounge. I recently sold it about 5 months ago, so I could concentrate full time on ALPACA. And I'm glad with the decision. I've been able to put a lot more time into creating way better bowls and coming up with new color combos and picking up new glazes we can experiment with So it's been a good change over the past 6 months for ALPACA.
Well, I'm really like devastated to hear that you don't have a lounge that I can go and visit. But at the same time, I applaud your passion to be like, you know what? Fuck it, we're gonna go like right into the deep end. I'm gonna put all my time and energy because for people out there who don't know, making bowls, making hoses, like I had Derek Moses on last week, and you guys saw firsthand how much time and effort it takes to make one hose for one person. Now he's making how like how many bowls would you say that you make in all your varieties a month? How many like?
It really depends on the models. Some models require a lot more time than others.
Mhm.
We make our bowls in batches, so we'll make about 100 of each model every month.
Wow. Okay.
And we produce definitely one of the most in the world. We just have such a high demand internationally. We've really hit a lot of markets in other countries, and so they've really been loving our bowls almost as much as Americans are loving our bowls. And so we've been trying to meet the demand. We're still a little bit behind, but we're getting there.
That's crazy because there was a on the AM Hookah podcast they had a discussion with Nino the other day. Not to get into that, but he was kind of saying that it's kind of like one person buys a bowl, they might not buy another one. I could be the absolute opposite to that testament where I have multiple different colors, different types of bowls, and the fact that I even have the 18 karat bowl, which like
It's a great bowl.
I like the aesthetic with the stripe going all the way around. The only
Yeah,
thing
I'm smoking it right now.
the only thing I noticed, I don't know if you noticed, that gold gets hot sometimes.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
that is the only thing. I didn't notice that until like the 10th session I was smoking. I picked it up. I'm like, holy shit, okay, yeah, that's real metal because that's getting some heat behind it. But
Yeah.
it's so cool. It's I bought my bowl on hookah-shisha. But I want really quickly, why the name ALPACA? Like, of all the names, like, don't get me wrong, dude. Like, you're gonna be at the expo. I'm gonna be at the expo. I'm gonna get as close as I can to this alpaca, without getting like spit at or like bitten at. But why alpaca? Like, why that name?
Well, we were OG Bulls, as I'm sure many people know, and then we switched. I was like, I need to come up with a new name, and I love animals. One and two, I like coming up with names that have multiple meanings. So Alpaca Bowl just kind of fit it. Alpaca Bowl, Alpaca Bowl. And
Oh, well, you know what? I don't know. Why haven't I ever thought about that? You know what?
yes,
Maybe I just never put two and two together. I
yes,
wonder if anyone else did the audience here know about that as well? Because I'm just now hearing you say that, it's clicking in my head. That's
yeah.
okay.
It's definitely the part of the main reason I named. I love alpacas and everything, but
Yeah.
it had to have a play on words for me to.
Now, did you actually go and meet an alpaca before you named it
No,
alpaca?
no,
No.
I just always loved the animal, and once I heard that pun just like play in my head a couple times, alpaca bowl, it kind of just that was it, locked it down right away.
That's so clever because you know what? A lot of people don't know there. Like you have Mr. What was it? Okay, yeah, Doug. Doug's been smoking for a while. You got guys like Eddie and Paul been smoking for a while. They always talk about OG bowls, OG bowls, OG bowls. A lot of the newer smokers would hear them say OG, and they just think it's an old gangster bowl. Oh, it must be one of the first line, and you have to like go back and be like, no, it's actually this is what the company was named before him because I think a lot of people smoking now, look at your bowls and they look at the style and they're like, oh, that's an alpaca bowl, and they can't, they don't know the difference. So what made you start this company?
So I could say that the Tangiers Bowl definitely caused my loving for hookah bowls. Eric, the owner of Tangiers, years ago was making the Tangiers Small, Tangiers Medium, Tangiers Large. And me being a huge dark leaf Tangier smoker, I just gained a lot of love for those bowls and the fact that you can really have an amazing handmade American bowl. And that he really influenced me into getting into the bowl industry. And so I found a couple artists that me and my old partner worked with, and we from there had some difficulties, moved down to Long Beach where we started a few new kind of ventures with some cool artists over here.
Hmm.
And from there, we established a really good team of people to produce our bowls. And then once OG, me and my partner had a falling out, we moved into alpaca bowls. And for the past 2.5, 3 years now, we've been going pretty steady with alpaca. We added a few new models, the Apache, LaRook, and then a few new variations for those models as well.
And it's interesting that that you saw heat management devices becoming a thing and people wanting to use these more and more at home before they even made their way into lounges. And you saw, you know what, we need to cater to the people at home who are like hardcore HMD enthusiasts. So you took the time to look at the market and look at what people needed, and you created the bowls you had, and you made them work for the HMDs, and rather than reverse where people have your bowls and having to make it work on
Well,
your bowls.
I'm an enthusiast just like everybody else in these groups and on the Facebook groups, and especially Hookah University, all the passion that goes into hookah. I'm right there with everybody here.
Hmm.
I'm an everyday hookah guy, and it's become a big part of my life. So anything that I'm pretty much half of my day is directed towards thinking about hookah. So I'm always trying to reinvent the wheel per se.
Well, it's like Derek Moses makes hoses for the people, you make bowls for the people. I like it. So the question basically, we have a question here from Mr. Travis Leader here asks you a question.
What's up, Travis?
What were your first few bowls that you used?
The first bowls that I used were the terrible Egyptian bowls that would break every like fifth use.
Was it the unglazed clay, or like that red clay where it would like
Red clay with like a
yeah.
slight clear glaze on it, and yeah, terrible. And I had the lounge for a while, so using them at the lounge, they would just piss me off. I'd buy 50, 100 at a time, and they'd break like within a week and a half because we're using them so often. So I really started seeing the difference between high quality and low quality bowls. And we were actually one of the first people to create American made clay funnel style bowl out of just one piece. A lot of bowls in the past were made with two pieces, so the head would break off. Ours is one full piece. A lot of the new bowl makers now are doing full piece, which is definitely a plus for the smoker because it'll just last you so much longer.
Yeah, I hear that, and I know from working in a lounge when I handled Egyptian hot, like the bowls would get so hot, and then you would put them in the sink or wherever you are to rinse them off, and you're going from extreme hot to extreme cold real quickly, and they beat up those bowls like they basically after like a month or two of using them, you got to buy a whole new bowl because the clays just don't last. Now, you made a comment before about you have a group of artists. Now, do they work independently from Alpaca, and or do they work for Alpaca? Like they're on the books. Like you have these people making bowls, like like in a sweat not in a sweatshop, but like right now you're like looking at the cameras, make more bowls. No, like these people work for you. They're under the umbrella of Alpaca at this point.
Yes. Yeah, all of our artists are on contract actually, so they can't produce hookah bowls for anybody else except Alpaca. I've ran into the problem in the past where people tried to knock off our bowls or tried to hire my artists or stuff like that. Years ago I just put everybody on contract, and everybody's pretty much exclusively producing for Alpaca. Thank God to our demand that we have, thanks to all you customers. We have a team that we can keep busy, and they're really dedicated to the craft, and they love making hookah bowls. And they're even innovators themselves. They began to come up with ideas themselves on new designs or new color combos. So now that I've been working with the same team for so many years, they've really understood what I'm getting at now, so that they're able to come up with a lot of bring cool stuff to the table.
That's awesome, and we will get into new bowls or new designs a little bit later. But really, I think this is the thing a lot of people want to know. Like, you know, how long typically does it take to sit from point A, where you sit down with the clay on the wheel and you're spinning it, to the point where it gets glazed and when it's hanging up and it's finished? Like, how long does that process take for just one bowl?
It's a very long process. I mean, even before we put the clay on the bowl, I'm meeting with my artist, creating the next batch of colors, picking the next mixes, coming up with what models are demanded at the time, and then we begin production. Once it begins production, it takes about 3 to 5 weeks for that bowl that began being spun to be finished, ready to be smoked.
That's impressive. What type? Now, can you tell me like what type of clay? We just talked about like the old school red
Yeah.
clay. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's like a lower end. It doesn't handle heat as well as the. Do you use like what, white clay or?
So yeah, it's called the red clay that is traditionally used is called the terracotta clay.
Hmm.
It's a very porous clay. It tends to be red 90% of the time due
Hmm.
to the environments that they're gathering that clay from. There's a lot of metals in the ground, so it causes almost like a rusting effect.
Yeah.
It'll cause a red clay.
Hmm.
Our clay is all American sourced, actually here from California. And it's a mix. It's a special mix that we had our ceramic wholesaler create for us, and it's a mix of stoneware, clay, sand, pulverized stones. It's a mix of different things to create that porous nature that our bowls have. If you look at the clay of our bowls, it is very unique to most bowls on the market. I mean, not saying better or worse, they're just different. I love our clay. It gives that great heat for especially dark leaf
Hmm.
and new age tobaccos. It really provides the perfect, it's almost an HMD on its own, the way that our clay heats up and keeps its heat.
Hmm. Yeah, I have noticed that sometimes like the neck, like, you know, if you're comparing it to your traditional you know, Egyptian clay head, man, those things get hot as hell. I've seen some people in lounges actually have to use tongs to
Yeah.
pick them up because they get so hot, and then you see them blow it out. Like these ones, you're gonna be able to handle them with your hands, no special tools needed. I guarantee you. As I, you know, I have a bunch of them here. Sadly, I didn't think far ahead to clean any of them off because I've been using them. You know, this is what I use, so I completely understand. Now, have you ever made a bowl by hand? Have you ever tried to sit down and make one? Is there one floating around like the OMAR like match?
It's very hard. I tried when I set up my first studio up north. I decided, you know what, we built this whole thing, might as well sit here and try to make one. And I tried, and it is a serious.
Is it like up on your shelf yeah, like
I
how people like Dad's first award or Dad's best award? It's like Omar's first bowl, like it's got a little plaque inside, like Tony Stark's heart or something like that.
I wish it didn't. I wasn't even able to get it up off the clay, honestly. So it was a disaster. On my clay is really hard to throw off of a wheel. Hand throwing clay is definitely an expertise, and then making these bowls hand thrown is a whole nother animal. It's really hard.
That is really true because I've seen many videos online, and these artists are so skilled that they make these YouTube videos and they make it look so easy, and you're like, oh, I could do that. So that looks so simple. Then when you go and sit down in a classroom, you're probably like, oh shit, hold on, wait, you have to make sure it's wet. You gotta spin it at the right way. Oh shit, it's going lopsided like something from Ghost. Now this next question I have is actually a question here that Mr. Jesse Sullivan, my buddy Jesse, thank you for stopping in like always. Does Alpaca plan to venture into other products outside of bowls? Because people have come to know Alpaca as a real good quality bowl, something that stands the test of time, you know, and they really like all the aesthetics you have to offer. Is there anything down the line that you in your head would like to see your company make, but maybe, you know, you're not too sure, or, you know, is there anything there?
I'm sure we're going to be coming out with some more stuff. Before I ever create something, though, I want to make sure that it has a unique function that we're providing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the type of person to just put my logo on something just to get a product out there just because we have a really good name. I know I could put alpaca on a hookah and people are going to buy it, but that's not my goal in this industry. I'd rather come out with a hookah that people are going to buy and then post the next day, damn, alpaca did it again. So that's when we do release a hookah or we release anything, it's going to be something functional. It's going to meet the alpaca standard, and those things take a lot of time. So I don't really rush the innovation unless it's ready to go.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because a lot of people don't want to see stuff rushed to market without it being tested and properly put through the paces, because then, you know, the hype goes, you buy it, oh crap, man, like, hey, did you guys know this broke here or this seal isn't right here, and then it makes you guys look bad. So it's very, I'm sure people are very appreciative of it. Now, Tabali Sammy has a question here. Do you like K-Peach? Just off the topic.
I'm smoking it right now, actually. I'm smoking Cashmere Peach Cane Mint. So yes, I like K-Peach.
I do like some Cane Mint. I haven't had K-Peach because everyone seems to be so divided on it. So Jewel has a question here. If someone's never smoked out of one and likes a bunch of different kinds of shisha, what bowl would you recommend for the first alpaca bowl? That's tough. I'm going to say the Apache bowl, because it's so versatile, and if you are graduating from an Egyptian style bowl, it's going to be the closest. It's going to be the next like step up where you can do different types of pack in that bowl with keeping like the same, I guess, the familiarity with what you already know. Now, Omar, you're the expert on this. I'm just the consumer. I'm just the humble consumer here who likes to dabble in a lot of different stuff. Now, what would you say to this question?
I agree with you. I think the Apache is probably one of the best. The Rook is also a very versatile bowl. It can be used for light leaf and dark leaf very easily. But I would say the Apache will probably provide a similar airflow to an old school Egyptian, and the packing, like you said, you can do a lot of different packs. So I think you're spot on with the Apache.
Oh, thank you. So I did mention you have 6 bowls out there for the people who weren't here at the beginning and are here now. He has the Rook, the Predator, the Symphony, the Apache, the Square, and the Eggy bowl. Now, I personally want to know, what is the most popular bowl that you sell? Because like you release the batches in like different colors and all different types for all the bowls. It's not just like, hey, we're just doing an Apache bowl. Here you go. Here's the color scheme on that. It's across the board. So you treat all of them like they're your favorite kids. You don't have any favorites. But what is the most popular? I have seen a lot of people use the Rook, and I know the Predator and the Symphony have been like intertwined. A lot of people go back and forth on there's like a little battle between which one they like, and I know the Apache is like kind of behind them, but I want to know which one is the most popular.
I would say the Rook is probably one of the most popular, and the Mini Rook, but it's really hard to say because there are so many different smokers out there and so many different tobaccos that are coming out, that sometimes a new tobacco will come out and people will find, oh, this bowl works better for this tobacco.
Yes.
And they'll switch to that tobacco or that bowl for that tobacco. So one month this bowl might be really popular, and then 6 months later, for some reason, everybody wants like Apaches. Years ago, Apaches weren't very popular. And now the medium Apache and Apache are one of our top sellers. So it really depends on also the shisha manufacturers and the style of tobacco they're creating.
Yeah, I had a question. So you have medium bowls and you have small bowls. Where are the large bowls? Are there ever going to be large bowls? Because what happens is that a lot of people get confused. I had this discussion, I think in the hangs maybe a couple of weeks back, and they were like, oh, that's an Apache medium. I'm like, can we just, like, your Apache, like, your Alpaca medium bowls, right? They're the regular bowls, right? They're the standard size bowls, and then you have the smalls. Are you ever going to make a bowl that is the large so we can have a small, medium, large? Or there's no point?
The medium is the medium, and then there is the regular line. So, like, this is a medium Apache. And then a regular Apache would be the width of this. This is a regular Eggy. I don't have a regular Apache in front of me. I should have. But yes, So the regular Apache fits the Cloud Lotus perfectly.
Okay.
The medium Apache, a lot of people are using the Provost with foil on it, but it's also a great foil bowl. The Cloud Lotus slightly kind of hangs
over a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not made for the Cloud Lotus, but the Provost will fit on the medium Apache, and then the regular line of bowls, the regular Rook, regular Eggy, regular Apache. Those will all fit the HMD perfectly. And then the Surrey bowl, the Predator, the Surrey is just a same size as the Predator with no bridge, and that bowl is not meant for HMD, obviously.
No, yeah. I use the Surrey, I found it very useful with like the Tangiers when you want to do that super dense pack, man, and you want like a small session. Maybe you have to go somewhere in 2 hours. You're like, you know what? I can make a bowl for like an hour real quick and then pack it in. It works perfectly for that. And that I actually just bought one the other day, but I ran out of Tangiers. So there, go figure. That's my luck. So it is super important to constantly evolve and make new bowls and stuff like that. So what do you have that you could show us as far as like something new that people are gonna be, oh crap, I need to get my hands on that? What do you have?
Some of the new stuff we're working on is kind of creating really cool like outside glazes that we've always done, but still offering an unglazed interior.
Oh, okay.
So it was really hard to get like the yellow over black and still get an unglazed interior, but that's what we've been working on, is doing kind of double or tricolor glazes and still keeping that inside unglazed. When I went to Russia, I found that a lot of people in other countries were moving into staining their bowls. And I think a lot of American consumers are probably going to do the same very soon. Now that there's so many tobaccos out there, so many consumers who have flavors.
Oh, it looked like Omar backed out for a second. Let him get back in here. Do you like the picture of the Dom bowl in the back? So we're going to wait for him to reconnect. How much you want to bet that somehow Matt Dezen used his voodoo magic and put technical difficulties on this, that his phone probably ran out of battery? That is usually my curse on this classroom. But Badia says Surrey Bowl was named because it's Arabic for Syrian. Please say yes. So I will ask him when he gets back here. But I appreciate everyone coming in here. It's super late. I'm happy I do have people from the other coast coming on here and hanging out. So if you do have any other types of questions, please like write it in caps with question marks and all that stuff, so I can ask him when he comes back. There he is. He's back. No, it's fine. We're known for technical difficulties ever since I had Matt Dezen on the show. And Matt cursed me. He cursed me with this plague of technical difficulties. Did your phone or something run out of battery? It was unplugged?
My Mac, the charger fell out and it died. It was on low battery. But I'm back in business here, so we're good.
So real quick, another question from Mr. Badia, Mr. ALPACA himself, the first man to come on the classroom. He asked, was the Surrey Bowl named because it's Arabic for Syrian? He said, please say yes.
That was part of it was because Surrey is Arabic for Syria, and then part of it was because there's two types of alpacas. There's a Surrey and a Huakaya, and so we picked Surrey. It was a little bit easier of a name, and we had the Syria play on words, so that's where Surrey came from.
Gotcha. Mr. Cameron, a polarizing figure in Hookah University, is asking what happened to the Liberty Bowls.
Liberty was my old partner's company. I have no idea, honestly. I'm a little bit too busy with ALPACA to kind of concentrate on any other brands. So I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Well, Jesse says completely off topic, but he says your staircases railing is pretty dope.
Thanks, Jesse.
So let me see what else. So we talked about what's the most popular bowl. What's your favorite bowl that that you make?
I would say the Predator overall, just because I'm a dark leaf smoker and I do like shorter, hotter sessions. I'm a guy who will pack like a few refills in a session rather than a larger bowl. And so I pick the Predator and the Mini Rook, I would say most of the time. I've been using the Symphony a lot recently. I'm smoking the Rook right now. So I definitely diversify, but the Predator is my favorite.
Gotcha. Are you a fan of like me personally? I like a good hour to an hour and a half session bowl because I have so much tobacco here. I like to switch it up. Constantly
Yeah.
have like new bowls to keep that flavor going. You personally, are you someone who subscribes more to like the 3 hour long sessions, or do you like your your shorter sessions?
I'm a shorter session, like hour and a half, 2 hour
Mhm.
smoker for sure. I would say hour and a half, 2 hours is where mine are at.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think that's generally like the consensus. A lot of people like to have that. Um, Paul here says, where do you think the hookah industry is going in the future? Or
I
or, or where or the follow up to that also would be like, where would you like it to go see? I guess it's all like one question.
I think it's heading in the right direction. A lot of more mature smokers, you could say, have emerged into the industry.
Hmm.
People who respect the product, they notice the difference in what makes a good hookah. If you look back 5 or 7 years ago, people were still smoking Egyptian bowls out of a KM, thinking this is the best setup they've ever smoked. Nothing against it, but there's a lot better stuff out there. And finally, we have consumers who are educated enough and willing and passionate enough to invest in those products, and then you notice the difference.
Yeah.
And for us manufacturers, that keeps us it keeps us busy and it keeps us interested in innovating because we know that there is a consumer base who's willing to educate themselves and test our products accordingly. So I do think the industry is heading in the right direction. I like Hookah University and the idea of these hookah groups internationally because they definitely offer a platform for us to connect, especially with people like you who are doing videos like this, where we can connect with the customer and really answer questions that we don't get to answer every day.
Yeah, I think it's super important. That's why I started this whole thing was to connect the consumers or connect the enthusiasts, the people that they might not necessarily know are behind the product or making products, so they can put a face, even though like people know who you are. Like Omar, like I remember, I think Travis, when I first started talking to Travis, he mentioned Omar. I'm like, I don't know who is Omar, Omar who, and then he had to explain it. I was like, oh, okay, because it's like 1,000 Omars. If you say one Omar, now we know who you're talking about. But really quickly, you're going to Hookah Expo. I'm going to Hookah Expo. Me personally, besides the alpaca and getting my picture with the alpaca, I also want to get my picture with the cardboard cutout of Badia since he's not going to be in Vegas. He's going to have a cardboard cutout of himself. So I'm going to try to put like a hat on it or a jacket. So I'm looking forward to seeing maybe some new pipes, some new flavors, maybe even some new types of bowls out there. You personally are going, for your company. But as a consumer, putting yourself in a consumer's shoes, what is something that you're looking forward to the expo besides really looking forward to just like connecting with the audience?
Connecting with the audience is big. There's a lot of brands there that have never exhibited before, which is really cool. Off the top of my head, I don't remember all of them, but I know that I saw on the map there was a lot of exhibitors who have never come to the U.S. Or exhibited in general. So that's exciting. Hookah Battle is going to be there, which is exciting. That adds a good new thrill to the expo, and then connecting with the people's. Even though you said
I know it's super. It is super important, and it's important for the people to get there. And supposedly this this whole like lounge setup that they want to push, that John's been pushing, is super important, because I've been to other expos and I've been to, like, you know, other meetups, and the meetups are really great because people can sit down and you can sit next to someone who creates a product or who is behind manufacturing a product and really pick their brain and talk to them. Not only like, you know, like, oh, I'm a consumer and you're a manufacturer, but like we're one and the same. We're having a good time, and I think it's super important for the U.S. market. You know, you mentioned before that you have other companies outside the United States coming here to America, and that's showing that the American market is something that is catching their eyes. Something like, hey, okay, I can make some money here, and there's really big enthusiasts here. You know, so it's super important to see all these different companies, and I would like to see, I think in the future, obviously it's not going to be at this expo, but seeing more brands represented, like, you know, like Heaven Leaf. You know, I would like to see, you know, like Matt Pear. I'd like to see a Matt Pear booth. You know, I would like to see, you know, everyone there. You know, because in Russia, everyone's there.
At the show, we'll have Matt Pear's presented at our booth. So if anybody wants to try Matt Pear, we're going to be the exclusive Matt Pear booth at the show. So we'll have a few Matt Pears there. Mm-hmm. And I'm in good contact with Matt Pear, so if anyone has questions on what they're coming out with or anything, I have a good lead on that. I was in Russia about 4 months ago, give or take, so I made a lot of cool connections out there on Russian products. Matt Pear was one of my favorites that I found out there, so I'll have a couple of those in my booth in addition to Regals, of course.
Yeah, I think you know, it's still young. The Russian pipes coming over to America is still a new topic. It's still a new thing. A lot of people haven't had the chance to get on, I guess, the bandwagon for Russian pipes, but I don't really think it is a bandwagon. Like, when you go from a traditional pipe like your KM or your Syrian, which might be a little bit more restricted, and you smoke out of a Matt Pear and you take your first pull out of a Matt Pear, you're like, holy fucking shit. This is something else. Like, there's something in the Russian water here that they're creating some good designs. People could say, oh, they all look the same, they have the same type of design, but I'll tell you what, it's a very good product when it comes to hookahs. I mean, I was blown away. I have a Matt Pear. You know, I also have a Like Smoke. I have the pipe from Poland. The Wuka as well. I mean, all these other pipes are so amazing. And I have another question here from Dimitri from Sky Hookah Distribution. My buddies over there in Chicago. Great people. If you don't know, they actually just dropped the new heat management device. I don't know the name, but it's a giant octopus on the cover. You can't miss it. I'm gonna get my hands on it when I get my money, and I have to buy another ALPACA bowl because I actually just broke mine the other day, not being too careful with it. If you I put it in a bag because I got so used to it being so durable that I just threw it in a bag. I was like, oh, I'm gonna take these two. We had a barbecue, and then when I came back, I realized it was broken. I was like, no, like, you know, it's my own carelessness. Has nothing to do with ALPACA bowls. It's because I've dropped them. I've done crazy things to them, and they've always withstand the beating, so I just got used to just throwing it in a bag. That's my fault. But Omar, what is your favorite bowl besides ALPACA?
You know, unfortunately, I only smoke ALPACA bowls. I can't comment on it yet.
Well, can we say maybe like design wise, have you seen like a competitor be like, wow, that's a pretty cool bowl. I like what they're doing.
They're all honestly between John, Hookah John's bowls, Stone Hookah bowls, Mason bowls. They're all really cool bowls. They're putting a lot of work into their craft, and I respect everything they're doing. I personally just haven't smoked out of any of them yet. I need to. I'm probably going to pick some up after this video.
I'm going to bust your balls come Vegas. I'm going to be like, yo, so where's your 80-foot 80? Where's your Mason bowl? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I've smoked with the owners of those companies many times at their booths and at their offices and whatnot. So I know they're amazing products. When it comes to my everyday smoke, I'm really, I just use my products also so I can test what I'm making efficiently.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm an enthusiast just like everybody. So
don't worry. I'm just going to pull John and Nino over, and I'm going to be like, hey guys, he needs your bowls. Come on, hook him up. Hook a brother up. Mike from Oasis, my buddy. I can't wait to go out there and smoke with you. Mike says Say, baby, I love you.
Baby, I love you.
Let's see. I just want to really quick and see if we have any more questions. Oh, Jesse's asking, are those alpaca shirts like the one you're wearing for sale?
No, but in the by the time the Hookah Expo comes, we should have some extra for sale. They've been pretty much just giveaways for really good customers of ours, or people that I've come in contact with that I've been able to give them a shirt. I try to. I don't make very many, maybe 20 a year or 30 a year, so not many get given out. But I'll start producing more of them.
Now you're a super humble person. You know, you obviously people are doing different things in the bull market, and it's super nice. Has there ever been an idea where you're looking at a competitor's bull and be like, damn, that I wish I did that? Can you admit that and be like, you know, like be like, damn man, that's a nice bull, man. I wish I could have did that, but good job on whatever company, you know, because they deserve the recognition for this nice product or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's like a been I wish I would have done that moment. There is a lot of cool stuff that I see people make, and I compliment them on what they create directly. But no, I don't have that. There's not a part of me that kind of looks at something and envies it or says I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
There's so many ideas I have and so many things that I'm still working on that. I don't think it's.
It's a tough question. I had to throw you on the hot seat. I got to see if I can get it out of you. That's my job. I got to pull things out of people.
It's more the I see a lot of like our rook design. Unfortunately, got knocked off. I would say 1,000 times across the world. You know, and I just want the consumers to just authenticate who created these designs. And as long as people remember that we're the creators of the rook and that little bridge and putting notches in a spire and the first ones to be stamping our logo on a bowl or just little things that we were the first ones to market to do. I just hope people remember that we're the authenticators of those things. Other than that, I'm all for innovation. Anything that brings new stuff to the customer's table is great. And I think we have a really good product at hand here with ALPACA that I'm all for competition for sure.
No, I like it. I appreciate you answering that question. So the hookah community is a very polarizing community. People will say, even if they haven't tried something, they look at it and be like, that's trash. I don't like this. I like this because of this reason, blah, 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 right? So is there anything in the hookah community that you kind of be like, I wish this wasn't going on? Like anything you'd like to see, like be like, come on guys, can we like me personally, I hate the bickering, like, you know, the real like backstabbingness.
I think the only thing is just don't trash talk any brand or any person in a group. If we keep it as nobody trash talks a brand or a group, I think that we'll have a very fair conversational space to function under. If we're trashing brands and we're creating a hostile environment, you're going to have hostile responses in the groups. So if we create just questions that instead of saying, I don't like this brand, say, what do you guys think of this brand? And then gather opinions, it's going to be a much more constructive conversation within the community. So I would just say, from consumers and manufacturers, we should not bash or trash talk anybody, even if I've seen tons of stuff that I hate, and I don't trash talk it. I leave it to people that do good will do good, and people that are copying or not innovating are going to fall out of the market. And
that's very true. Yeah, that's very true. And and basically what I wanted to say is basically there's a good way to go about a discussion where you have an issue and to make a constructive criticism and let people know, like, hey, I'm having this issue. Is anyone else having this issue? Rather than just saying, screw this guy, this is trash, blah, 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 because it creates a toxic environment, you know? So exactly. I completely understand what you're saying with there. Let me see. I think we're creating a shirt fan base in this chat right now. You have Jesse saying, you should do a graphic tee with a big-ass alpaca in the front with your logo on the back. That would be dope. And then Cameron says he's coming down tomorrow and taking a shirt. So I think I started an uprising. The people want the shirts. You're gonna have to answer for that eventually. They're gonna want these shirts.
More.
Um, so I'm just super. I'm a super big fan of the product that you create, how durable it is, the different types of bowls for the different types of ways people smoke. Man, I can't say enough about your bowls. Like, if anyone ever tells me, "Hey, man, I'm looking for a new bowl," I'm like, "Hey, well, you know what? Alpaca has, an Apache bowl. Have you tried that? Oh, maybe if that's not your thing, maybe go for a Rook bowl. Maybe, that's more your packing method, And there's so many different varieties, and shallow to deep and whatever, and it's fantastic. People are saying they demand the shirts. Matt, how many different bowls do you make? He makes 6 different bowls. And Matt, you have to leave the chat before he disconnects again, because you rubbed off something on my classroom here. Technical difficulties are becoming a part of my thing. You know what? I'm a proud owner of your products. I look forward to you and Alpaca having a huge history. I'm looking forward to you guys coming out with new products. I always get excited when you come out with a new glaze for your bowl. It's like, even if I have the bowl, I'm like, I like that color, I'm gonna pick it up. And your products are super affordable. They're not overpriced. You don't do any crazy limited batches. That's a dig. Yes, it is. And it's, if people watch this right now, they can go to any website basically and pick up one of your bowls and see for themselves what your product is about. Now, Omar, Mike is asking really quick before we wrap this up, what is your favorite lounge in Vegas? This is what Mike's asking. Now, I don't know if there's one answer to this. I don't know if there's multiple answers to this. I don't know if Mike is going to shank you next time he sees you, but I think he's expecting a certain answer here. I'm not going to say it because I think I have an answer, but I think he really wants you to answer this question, so you have to go on record here and say.
I will say that Mike owns an amazing lounge in Vegas called Oasis, and I definitely love his lounge. Favorite lounge? I haven't gone to all of them out there, but he's definitely my go-to lounge when I go to Vegas.
So hopefully, Mike, that satisfies your question there. Real quick, Matt Dezen, have you thought about doing any exotic glazes?
Yeah, we're working on a couple. The only thing with the exotic glazes is some of them are very costly, and we're trying to work on getting a production sample made. It's something that if we do create anything like that, I know you said we don't create any limited edition stuff, but if we do, those kind of things would definitely be more of a limited run production.
Well, let me rephrase it, because there is a difference, and I spoke to this with Derek Moses. Derek Moses makes hoses custom to the people, and he won't stop doing that. If the people put an order in and they want a certain hose, he will keep creating that. But he also wants to express his artistic creativity, and he wants to show people what he's capable of doing. So doing a limited batch and showing people, hey, this is something different. If you like this type of design, this is more artistic. It's not made just specifically to you. Here it is, but I still do what it is I do. You still make bowls. Your bowls are out. People don't have to wait, months on end to get one of your bowls and then have to do something crazy like a bidding war or sitting there waiting for like new Jordans to come out to get one of your bowls. They can get it right now. Right now, you can go on the internet, get his bowl all over the place. So if you wanted to do limited batches and you wanted to show, hey, guys, we want to do something special, here it is. We can only make so much of these. That's something completely different, and I think your consumers are going to understand, and not only understand, but they're going to appreciate in droves and go out and buy this limited style or limited glazed bowl. I don't think that's your problem at all, or would be an issue.
Cool. I'm glad you reiterated that. Definitely, we will be coming out with new stuff. Most of our stuff is still limited. Like, you might go online to hookah-shisha and look for one style of bowl, and you might find it there, but then you might go to 5-star and find a different color style, and then go to Junkie and find a different one there, and then go to, you could go to all the different sites, and you'll definitely see a different range of colors that each of these retailers have. Also, because we can only make so many of each color, you'll find different stuff in different retailers or websites. So you can definitely get an Alpaca bowl. at most times that you want, the color that you want, or a specific blend, they might be out of stock. So don't hate us for that. But you can definitely find an alpacable when needed.
Well,
And regarding the exotic glazes, yes, I'll be presenting some pictures in the group soon with some stuff that we're working on, and see what you guys think about it.
well, I think the people have enjoyed this interview. They see your candor and your enthusiasm for your product, and they appreciate everything you're doing. I know most of these people in here personally, and I know they have your bowls, and they look forward to continuously buying your bowls because the standard that you've set so far is very high. So before we conclude this, I don't want to take up any more Omar's time. He's been gracefully a great guest, and he's even though it's super late here, he's granted me a little bit of his time. So if you have any more questions before we wrap up, start writing them down. At this point in the the little classroom here, I'd like to turn the floor over to you to maybe give you a chance to do any shout outs or talk about any products that maybe we didn't cover. So is that the floor is yours. Basically, go ahead. Anything you want to say, it's yours.
I really appreciate just you bringing me on for this interview. I think it's great to begin connecting a little bit more with the community. If anyone has questions, anything, even about packing or any specifics with your hookah, feel free to contact us at ALPACA anyway through Instagram, Facebook, email. I'll respond to it and try to troubleshoot anything that you're going through. Even if it's not with one of my bowls, I'm still willing to help. If you're smoking a hookah John bowl or a Stone or a Mason, you can't figure something out, let me know. I'm a heavy hookah enthusiast, so I love kind of helping people get their session right. So any questions, let me know. I want to reassure everybody that we're hard at work on new stuff, new designs, as well as still keeping our static standard that we try to keep here at ALPACA. And if anyone has anything that they'd like to bring, please, like I said, feel free to contact us. And Hookah University, keep it up. Thank you guys for allowing us to host our live in your group. I think your group is great. The whole idea of doing a classroom and kind of university style forum was genius, and we need that in the hookah community. So I think as long as we keep a positive outlook and we all stay connected and no one hates each other in this industry, we'll be on our way to a good next future for the hookah industry.
Well, guys, you heard it here straight from the alpaca's mouth. Now, really quick, before we go, Matt Dezen, co-host of the AM Hookah podcast, one of my favorite podcasts, and I hope that at some point in the future they can have you on and go more in depth, even because I know Adrian Hunter and Matt Dezen have a ton of questions probably that I haven't written down here, and they would love to probably have you on for the next season. This is just me plugging Matt. Matt didn't even ask me, but I'm doing it. Matt, give me that money, boy. You gotta pay me now. All right, Matt asks really quick. Last question of the night. How is it to work with vendors compared to just doing your own stuff? And I believe the questions basically like, why wouldn't you just sell it yourself compared to putting it with vendors? Is it because more exposure to vendors, or because you guys do really good on the exposure level yourself?
Yeah, I think we could easily switch and say we're not going to sell to retailers anymore and just sell on our website. But that wouldn't be fair to the customers in other countries and in areas of the U.S. that maybe they don't have a retailer close to them that's offering fair pricing. So the whole reason why we really don't retail very much and we dedicate most of our sales to vendors is to provide our bowls access to the community a little more fluid of an access to the community than we would if we sold ourselves. Also, the pricing, it would change. International pricing would be a lot more expensive because we're not working with people in those countries.
Yeah.
So Alpaca's become a really good international brand because we're not trying to make a bunch of money off just the American consumer. We're trying to offer a fair price internationally so that a guy in Germany is posting the same bowl that a guy in California might have, and they might connect just because they have the same hookah bowl. And at the end of the day, it brings together the hookah community, and it shows that this worldwide hookah community is almost the same at the end of the day. And that's the point of not working directly through our website. I'd make a lot more money if I did,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't have the satisfaction of seeing smokers from all around the world sharing similar products.
Oh man, he hit me right in the feels. He says some stuff that could be quoted on a T-shirt there. Now I definitely like it. I appreciate, buddy. Thank you for coming on. You know, I'm Dr. Noob Sauce. This is Omar. You can check out more of my stuff on YouTube at Dr. Noob Sauce. You can just type it in the little YouTubes there, and you can find all my reviews and my podcast. And you know, this podcast will be up on YouTube in the future, so look forward to that. Thank you everyone for joining us. It's been great, and basically this classroom can't be a classroom without other people participating. So thank you guys, the viewers, and you know, dropping in, dropping the likes, asking the questions. You know, I really appreciate it. So thank you guys. Omar, thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you. Thank you guys.